Okay, so we're going to start today with PCs, and then we're going to do a little bit on Macs, and then some on iPhones, and that should take us up to our intermission. Um, we're starting with some of the pre-questions that we got before the meeting started. Um, we had a specific question about peripherals, mice, uh, external hard drives. How do you troubleshoot them? The best way is to first unplug it from your machine, plug it back in, make sure there's no dust in the connector. You can blow it out or use a fan, blow it out that way. Also, it helps if you have a friend who has a computer, or um, you can try and plug it into their machine and see if the problem lies with your machine or with your peripheral. That's a very basic troubleshooting tip. Always try any hardware that you're having trouble with, try it with a different machine and see if you're able to get it to work. Keep in mind, though, some hardware has specific requirements for drivers, which are the little pieces of software that run the whatever hardware you're using. So especially like if you're going to try that trick with printers or the like, you may need to install some additional software. Generally, they'll come with a CD, or you can download them from the manufacturer's website by going through. It's not too much trouble. The other option there is it's not just unplugging and replugging, but also try a different USB port on your machine. USB ports do go bad. They're like any other piece of hardware. You can try and swap to a different port, or plug into, if you're using a monitor that has USB ports and is connected, you can try that. All different options to quickly test your peripheral devices. Low storage warning. So I'm going to switch over to our laptop. So for a low storage warning, the easy way to fix that would be to go, you hit your start button and type in disk cleaner. So all I had to do is type in DIS, and you can see the first one here is disk cleanup. By clicking on that, you have some options here. Downloaded program files, temporary internet files. It used to be that if you wanted to clean these things up, you had to specifically search your computer for them, delete them, and it was all a manual process. They've automated a lot of it now. So all of this stuff is things that Windows considers to be files that you don't need, data that is unneeded at the moment. A lot of it also is stuff that can be recreated should you need it again. On this computer, you can see we have temporary files that are about half a gigabyte, 500 megabytes. That's a pretty decent amount of space for temporary files. So all you have to do is select the check box here and hit OK. And it will clean up Windows for you, giving you more hard drive space. If you go to in Windows 10, this PC, you can do that by hitting your start button and then just start typing this, and it will bring up this PC. Your hard drive is here where it says Windows, and it will show you how much space is available versus how much you have. If the bar here is blue, then you're fine. You have enough hard drive space for Windows to do its job, and that's not a limiting factor on your performance of your computer. Once you get up to about 90-95%, the bar will go red. Then you know it's a good time to run the disk cleanup that we just ran. That should help with that predicament. If it doesn't, and it needs more, you can always try to uninstall some programs, or take it to a professional and have them help you. I find sometimes it's easiest just to uh, reload Windows on my computer. That is a very advanced thing, and you may need help with that if it comes to that. But there are, using those tips and tricks we just gave you, you may be able to alleviate that without extra help. So we had a Instagram reel where we talked about this, but one of the things that not a lot of people do anymore is fully shut down your computer or restart your computer. A lot of people utilize sleep mode, and which just puts your computer into suspended animation. It sits there and waits for you to come back and start using it again. Not only does that use more power, but it never fully gets a chance to clean itself up if you don't restart it. I recommend at the end of every day, when you're done with your PC, just shut it down, let it be off overnight, and then restart it the next time you're ready to use it. It does take a little bit longer sometimes, depending on your computer, what you have loading, and that type of thing. But it is better for your overall PC health, in my opinion, at least. There are people who would disagree, but that's what I'll say. One of the ways that you can, if your computer is running slow, one of the ways that you can check and see maybe there are things that that are slowing it down. Maybe there's programs that start on your Windows when you start the machine that you don't want to. One of the things that people used to use a lot and don't as much anymore is Control-Alt-Delete. So by pressing Control-Alt-Delete on your keyboard, you have the option to open Task Manager. This is a very powerful tool, and it is something that is usable by a novice without too much threat of damaging anything. The things that you most want to be aware of within Task Manager, when you bring it up, is going to have this basic interface, which just shows you the programs that are currently running on your computer, at least in the foreground. This program over here mirrors my iPhone, so I can show you guys what I'm seeing and show you how to do things. So if I were to select this and hit End Task, it would close this window, and it would do the same for any other program that you have running on your computer. By going to more details at the bottom left here, it brings up a lot more information, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, but by just knowing a few of the things that you need to look at, it becomes much more easy to handle. Most important thing are the percentages up top. You don't really need to know what they are, as long as they are not running at 100% for extended periods of time. When opening a new program, when opening a new piece of software, it's typical for these numbers, especially your CPU, to go up to 100% as the computer is trying to process your request. It should, after the program is running, settle back down into a normal usage. You can see right now the computer is not trying very hard. It's running at 5% CPU and about 49% memory, which is totally fine. If you notice your computer is running slow, by going into Task Manager, hitting Control-Delete, like we said, you can see what your computer is having an issue with. Is it running low on CPU power? Is your memory being fully utilized? Those are things where if you can recognize that, you can take that to a professional and say, my RAM is always full, it's always being used fully. Can we upgrade my RAM? So it gives you more tools to know what's going on with your computer. One of so there are other tabs here that we can look at. Performance, it just shows spikes in the usage. App history will show things that are running and how much time they've used. Not really important for basic troubleshooting. The one thing I did want to show you is startup. So in the startup tab, you have all of the programs that are set to start when your Windows computer starts. It can be anything from built-in Microsoft programs to things that you've installed to malware, things that you didn't know were installed, but were installed without your knowledge. One of the things you can try, especially if you have, as you're starting your computer up at the beginning of the day, if you notice you have a lot of windows opening as you're starting, it makes everything slower. By coming into startup and finding those windows and just right-clicking and do disable, that will change the status to disabled. And now the next time you start your computer, that program should not start automatically. By doing that, it frees up the resources that program uses automatically every time you start your computer, and it will only use them if you physically open the program yourself. Open programs within Windows. You can just raise your hand and Pete will come around. So yeah, very useful, especially one of the big things is this program keeps starting. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does. Using this startup tab within Task Manager, you can find that program, tell it not to start, and it will, every time you start your computer, it should be off. Let's see, the next thing we wanted to talk about was slowness while browsing the web. So there's a lot of things that can be at fault when you're having slowness with your internet. An easy way to check one thing is with a internet speed test. A lot of people know how to do this, some don't. By going to I use speedtest.net, but there's a lot of different ones out there. You can find them. It automatically finds a server. All you have to do is hit go, and it will test the speed of your connection, which you can compare to the bill for your internet at home and see what type of speeds that you're getting. You generally, most people have like 100 megabit or a gigabit connection somewhere in there. By checking your bill, it should say what speed you're supposed to be getting, and you can verify that with one of these programs. If you're having slowness and it shows in here, give a call to your internet service provider, and they will be you'll be able to talk to them and see if there's a problem that they know about, or if maybe you're reporting something that they're unaware of. And then the last thing I really wanted to go over was updates. So with Windows 10, updates are fairly automatic. Especially security updates, critical updates, you'll find that Windows will do them automatically. It will download them, install them. At times, it will say there's an update waiting for your computer, and it will give you the option of restarting your computer to let that update install. There are other updates that can also be helpful, and to view them, we go to the start button in the bottom left, and all you have to do is, again, start typing update, and you'll see at the top here, check for updates. By clicking on that, it will bring us into the Windows Update setting. You click check for updates, and it should look through the software on your computer and see if there's anything that Microsoft uses that needs to be updated. Since we're on the library network here, and this computer is managed by BCFL, it doesn't allow us to go out. That's why it's getting an error. Um, for you at home on a personal computer, it should pop up and say if there's anything, or say if you're fully up to date. There also is an option underneath here when this is connected correctly that'll say optional updates. By clicking on that, that will show some of the drivers that your computer uses for pieces of hardware. The card that's responsible for your graphics or your sound, all of them have bits of software that run that tell your computer how to use them. And those bits of software are always being improved by the companies that make them. By clicking on that optional update, you'll be able to see any that Microsoft is aware of that for that piece of hardware, and it will allow you to update them to the newest version that they have. I recommend doing that, a couple times a year, just especially if your computer is running a little slowly or seems to be sluggish. It's very helpful to run Windows Update and make sure everything is up to date as far as Microsoft is concerned. Okay, so that's what we have for PCs. I just had a couple for Macs. Not a lot of people use Mac OS for their daily usage. So just a few things that we wanted to go over to keep in mind. When you're using Mac OS, if there is on the launch bar, if there's a dot under the program, that means it's still running. So even if you've closed something, it does not necessarily close it fully. Sometimes you may have to click on the program menu and, as shown here, click quit to fully exit that software and free the resources back up for your computer. This is especially useful for something like GarageBand or Safari, things that use a lot of your system resources. Closing them out will allow you to make your resources available to other programs, keep your computer from running slow. Many of the softwares that run on Apple are dependent on you being logged in to your computer. Apple is very strict about that, and you may notice that things like messages or FaceTime are unavailable like they would be on your phone because you're not logged in. So make sure that you go to iCloud on your Mac and log in there. A lot of times you'll already be logged in as part of the setup process, but not always. It can be helpful just to check and make sure if you're having issues with using those programs within Apple's environment. The last thing is updates for the Macintosh. So by going to the preferences and general and about, we can see here the operating system and the software update beneath it. By going to the software update, you can see if there are anything that's that needs to be updated for the Mac. It will put it in here. All you have to do is click upgrade now. It's an automatic process. It will download the software and install it for you. And then so that's all I had from Macs. And then the last thing I had was for phones. So for your iPhone, checking one of the big questions we had was battery life. If your phone doesn't seem to be lasting as long as it used to, if you are noticing that it runs slow or it dies very quickly, you can check your battery health by going to settings, battery, and then battery health. That will bring up the window that you see in front of you. Keep in mind, you do have to be updated to the newest iOSs for this to work. This is all on iOS 16 and 17. The maximum capacity will show you how much of your original capacity of your battery is still remaining. 100% means it's still running like it was brand new. If you get down below 80% through the app, that's when you may start noticing that the phone is dying faster than you're used to. You can either go to an Apple store or a third party and have them replace that battery. Keep in mind when you do that, Apple is a hardware company and they will try to sell you a new device. You don't always need one. Just keep that in mind if you take it in for repairs. Sometimes they will charge you an arm and a leg for a repair. You can try a third party in that instance. There's a lot of them out there. Some are very reputable. I would recommend shopping around, checking reviews if you are looking for hardware replacement for your iPhone. So one of the things I wanted to show you was running into issues with applications on your iPhone. So there is a trick to seeing what is running on your phone. If you touch at the bottom middle of the screen and swipe up to about the middle, you'll see this dock pop up. And by scrolling to the left, you'll see all of the applications that are currently running on your phone. By tapping and swiping up on an application, it will close that and it will stop using resources on your phone. Getting into that menu can be a little tricky. You might have to play with it. Again, it's start at the bottom middle of your screen and swipe up to the direct middle of the screen, and that should open the what you see behind me. Play with it, try it. It took me a few times to be able to get it and understand exactly how it's done. But once you understand it, you'll be able to get it without any issue. And again, once you bring that up, all you have to do is swipe up on the application, and that will close it completely from your device. One of the things about iPhones that can make them work well is that when you start your phone, it opens all of your applications, which is good because you have everything available to you immediately, but it also means that everything is using resources on your phone. By doing this, you'll be able to free some things up and may be able to increase your battery life, make the phone run better, that kind of thing. The next thing I wanted to show you was rebooting your phone. So at least on newest iPhones, if you hold the power button and the volume down button at the same time, you will get this screen. At this screen, if you slide the top slider to the right, it will turn your phone off. And then by holding the power button on the right side of the phone, it will turn it back on. If you are having issues with your phone that are unexplained, that seems to be running weird or things aren't working correctly, restarting your phone is always the first line of defense. I highly recommend doing it at least a couple times a week. It is very helpful for making sure that things are running smoothly. Let's see. The next thing I wanted to show you was tabs within Safari. So in the default web browser for Apple is called Safari. In the bottom right, you will see this button. It is the tabs button for Safari. By clicking that, it will bring up a window that looks a lot like this. These are the current open tabs within your Safari. Whenever you open a new window, whenever you do a new search, a lot of times it will open a tab for you. So you may not even realize that you have multiple tabs open at the same time within your Safari. By clicking on that button in the bottom right, you can select the X's on each of these tabs and it will close them within Safari for you. This makes Safari use less resources and will improve your browsing. One of the things that that Apple recommends is, especially in areas where you have a slow internet connection through your phone provider, is to turn off your Wi-Fi connection. The iPhone is set to connect to open Wi-Fi's by default, and this can make it so that it will, if you're near a McDonald's, if you're near a Starbucks, it can connect to those networks automatically, and you may not realize it. To turn off your Wi-Fi, in the top right where you see the battery icon and where it says 5G, if you swipe down, you'll be able to see this this menu. On the left, the blue icon, the blue Wi-Fi icon, by tapping that, it will disconnect the Wi-Fi and not turn it back on until tomorrow. If you need to see more information, you can hold that button down and it will open up your Wi-Fi, give you the ability to check your Wi-Fi settings, and you can check all of your connections to see if there's something that that is connecting that you don't want to. But by simply turning the Wi-Fi off, that can help your internet speeds if you're in a area with low signal.
Question is, will that compete with like say with Starbucks and I have low signal on this device, but I prefer to stay with my iPhone.
So by doing so the question is, if you prefer to use your wireless signal over Wi-Fi, that would be exactly this scenario. By going into the Wi-Fi, turning it off, that guarantees that your phone is using the cellular connection that you have for your device and allows you to bypass any external Wi-Fi's. The other option, the other thing is, once you go into, so sometimes connections that are saved can get the settings can get corrupted. By going into the Wi-Fi settings, you have the option of seeing all of your saved connections under My Networks. So this, on this phone, I only have library saved. If you click on the eye on the right side of the connection, you have the option to forget this network. Before you do this, make sure that you have the password for that network somewhere written down, because it will forget the password. It will forget everything about it. The next time you connect it, it'll be like you're connecting to it for the first time, and you'll need the password. But by forgetting the network and reconnecting to it, it can allow for a fresher connection that is a little bit faster. And the last thing I really wanted to show was what emergency calls, which you saw a little bit in the screen I was showing before. By holding the down volume and the power button, you have the option to make a 911 call, an SOS call, by swiping the SOS button to the right. This will make a call to emergency services. By default on an iPhone, it sends them your location. And if you have medical ID set up, it can send that as well, depending on the system. This is very useful in emergency. I highly recommend keep it in mind just in case anything happens. You don't even need to be able to talk. All you need to be able to do is swipe on the device, and it will do it for you. Okay, so that is. So we had a few questions that came through. One of the questions is, whenever there is a Windows update, all I can do is wait because the computer is totally unusable. Is this the right approach? Yes, it is. Unfortunately, especially after you've restarted your computer for an update, all you can do is wait for it to end. Computers are different. Sometimes it'll be quick. Sometimes it'll be a couple minutes. Sometimes, depending on the update, it can be half an hour, 45 minutes. My recommendation is if the computer says, please wait updating Windows, give it at least a couple hours. If nothing has happened after a couple hours, you can try holding the power button down and restarting it, but I always recommend as much patience as you can give it. Unless there's a critical update, you will always have the option of shutting your computer down without installing the update. If it's not a good time for you to do an update, just shut it down normally and don't let it run the update. Wait till the end of the night to run an update. You can shut it down, let it update, turn your monitor off, and it will do it in the background while you sleep. Why does my phone randomly shut off? This is hard to say without seeing the exact device. Generally, a device that shuts off by itself, there are two main reasons. One is excess heat. If the device is overheated, it will shut itself down to protect it. The other is a low power battery, which we showed you before. Go into the battery settings and you can see how much battery life your phone has left. This is not the same as the amount of charge that your battery has. This is total life. The charge on the battery will charge it up to full. The total life determines how full that battery can get. Batteries are shipped with a certain amount. The phone is able to tell when that battery has started to lose some of its ability to hold charge, and it will be able to tell you in that screen that we showed you how much of that total battery charge is remaining. How to remove files that are no longer needed. We showed you that through Windows. iPhone generally does its own cleanup and doesn't allow you to save a lot of files, but you can go to My Files on your phone. You can do that by going to the app library all the way on the right. So swipe to the right on your phone until you get to what it says app library at the top. You can find the My Files app by searching at the top. There's Files. You can go into there and see if you have anything saved that you can delete. Generally, there's not a lot in there unless you are using specific programs that utilize that space. But it's always worth to take a look and give it a try. Wireless mouse connection issues. I was talking earlier about peripherals and USB. Wireless is the same way. By going to, if you are connecting through, there's two different ways that mice and keyboards generally will connect to your device without a wire. One is Bluetooth and one is proprietary. A lot of Logitech devices have the little USB dongles, they're called, that plug in. That's an automatic connection. Nothing. It's basically a wire. Nothing that you really have to troubleshoot. When you're using a device over Bluetooth, you can hit the start button and start typing in Bluetooth. The option up here is Bluetooth and other devices. By opening that, you can see any of your things that are connected through Bluetooth. I currently have a mouse that is connected to this computer, showing here. By clicking on it and hitting remove device, it will disconnect it from the computer, where you can click add Bluetooth or other devices and re-add that device to the computer. That's the same general principle as moving your USB connection to another port or reconnecting or trying it on another computer. By disconnecting and reconnecting it, it refreshes the connection. And if that was the issue, that should fix the problem. You can also test wireless devices with other computers, see if it's continuing to have the problem, and then you can narrow it down to if the problem is with your device or with your computer itself. Let's see. How to remove cookies. I spoke about that earlier as well. That is the disk cleanup. By opening disk cleanup, you have the temporary internet files here. Making sure that is selected and hitting OK will remove those files and clean up that portion of your computer. I had a question about Android phones. So not a lot of people use them, but the difference between an iPhone and an Android, if you're going to restart the Android, all you have to do is hold the power button. So by holding the power button, it should bring up this screen, which will give you the option to restart your phone, turn it off, and Androids are a little bit different. I feel like that should be its own topic. Unfortunately, we don't have time to really go into it today, but always restart your phone first, see if that fixes the issue. I would say more than half the time it will. So we did the disk cleanup. We did. So a question is, can I remove OneDrive? So you can uninstall OneDrive by going to by right-clicking on the start button and going to apps and features. You can see in here all the applications that are installed. To fully remove one, you click on it and just click on install. You can do that with OneDrive. You can also do the startup trick that we showed you earlier and unselect OneDrive there, which will stop it from starting automatically. I do find OneDrive to be a useful program, so I wouldn't generally recommend that because it does backups for you. But personal preference, if you want to get rid of it, that is how to do that. How to limit blue light on a screen. By default, there is not a good way to limit the blue light that your screen emits. You can get third-party filters that go over your screen that will block blue light. Makes it supposed to make it a little bit easier on your eyes, especially at night. A lot of people find if they block blue light, it allows them to get to sleep easier. So yeah, they look for blue light filters that you would put over your screen, and that should help you in that area. Problems with people hearing me during video calls. Microphone and speaker problems are an entirely different animal. They can be difficult to troubleshoot. I'm going to recommend, if you have that issue, and you have a laptop or a phone that you're having it on, if you go to buckslib.org/live help, the very talented librarians at the Bucks County Library will be more than happy to give you some one-on-one time and see if there's anything they can do to help you. That's not just for that issue. If you have any issues, they are more than happy to take a look. So yeah, that is all we had for today. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you so much. It's good to see you.